in the Sulky.
Well, thank you very much, Ken Workington. Yes, indeed. Scott Zeron joins us in the Sulky here at the Big M. And Scotty Z, you took a pretty big risk because you were the big guy on the WEG circuit up at Mohawk and Woodbine. A lot of success up there. You decided to try it on the East Coast, and so far it's worked out pretty well.
It's been good. It was slow to start, but I mean, I've gotten a lot of support down here. All the trainers and, the drivers are really... they've been giving me some good tips, and I got to pick up the way the race style is. It's a complete different change for me, but I'm happy to be here, and it's been going all right.
What's been the toughest adjustment away from the racetrack? I know traffic is horrible around here. I can't imagine Toronto is much better, though.
I'll tell you what, downtown Toronto is bad, but nothing compares to the Jersey Turnpike, or I've been to Manhattan for some Christmas shopping. I mean, you lose years off your life of stress.
Speaking of Manhattan, how about the nightlife around here? There's plenty to do for a young single guy like yourself.
Yeah, I'm used to everything closing at around 2 o'clock. Here it's 4:30. I mean, that's a change, good change.
Now, you won the Little Brown Jug last year with Michael's Power for Casey Coleman. The Little Brown Jug is larger than life. Let's roll in the stretch drive. What are you thinking here, Scotty Z, as you come to the top of the stretch?
In the last turn, I knew I had a lot of horse. I kind of just touched him with the whip to see how he felt, and right coming off that top turn, I turned him loose as much as he can go, and I was pretty confident he had enough left in the tank, especially off our first trial. We had just a perfect 2-hole trip, so, I mean, it all came together.
And that had to be just an awesome thrill. Can you still believe you won the Little Brown Jug at that young an age?
Well, you tell you what, for Christmas, my dad bought me a blanket with the Little Brown Jug, Michael's Power all over it, so I'm always reminded of it. It's a great win.
And your good buddy Scott Young got his 15 minutes of fame riding around on the race bike with you back to the winner's circle as well. Your first Meadowlands win came December 6th with Janie Bay. Let's roll this in. And the first 3 nights, you really didn't have that much luck. Was this a real confidence-building score, something that said, hey, I can do it here and I can win here?
Yeah, the first week I drove her here, I was just a bit too far back with her, but I knew she had enough horse coming for home that next week she'd be even better, and I was pretty confident in her. I just kind of sat out the whole way and had a nice second over trip. Just everything panned out, and she gave me what I thought she would.
I had not had much of an opportunity to see you drive down at the Red Mile a little bit during the Grand Circuit, but I've been very impressed so far here at the Big M with your patience for a young guy. You seem to be a very good positional driver and tactical driver and almost like to trip a horse out rather than speed in the lead. How would you describe your style?
I mean, I like to say I can adapt to anything, but I like to choose the more patient approach where the horse that I drive, especially the ones that I'm driving right now, I know that those will be the ones that I keep driving week in and week out, and I'm not going to have 3-4 drives every race to pick from, so I know that I kind of have to protect them a little bit, give them a chance to win every week, but at the same time make sure they're there for next week.
Now, the word on the street is you're a big gym guy, big workout guy. Now, I like to pump some iron myself, as you can tell from my buffed-up figure. If I go work out with you, how tough is it going to be? What are we going to do?
I mean, we got a stopwatch. Everything's 30-second intervals. It's just I love working out. I feel like it betters my life every day by just pushing myself, and it's fun for me.
Plus, you got to be in shape to drive these horses. A lot of them latch on pretty good nowadays.
Tell you what, they grab on a lot more here than they do at Woodbine and Mohawk. These horses are ready to go.
Let's, speaking of Woodbine and Mohawk, we have some quiz questions for you from the WEG circuit, tongue planted firmly in cheek, and we let the guys up there know that this was going to happen so they'd be prepared. So our first question is about Jody Jamieson, one of the top drivers up there. Would you describe him as A, overrated, B, overweight, C, over the hill, or D, all of the above?
Oh, Jody's time's already come and gone. I mean, he's rosing the top, but it's a quick fall down. I'm just kidding. Jody's great to drive with. He's one of the few guys that, he likes seeing young guys do well, and he's been there for me, but we don't need to even answer that question. He's the top of his game every night.
And Jody's a great interview as well, probably as good as the next guy we're going to talk about, Randy Waples, who was an actor for a while, wants to be an entertainer. What would be his best role? Homer Simpson, Bart Simpson, O.J. Simpson, or Jessica Simpson?
I'm going to change that with Jim Carrey. If anyone who knows Randy, he's a mix of looks of Gene Simmons with his haircut and then the personality of Jim Carrey. And I miss that back home.
And I think we need a 5-second delay, too, for when he impersonates Jim Carrey as well.
Absolutely.
He can be a very colorful guy, let's just say that. Mario Barjone used to be one of the leading drivers in our sport. Who was his first big horse? Dan Patch, Single G, Patch and Wilkes, or was he in the chariot race with Charlton Heston in the movie Ben-Hur?
Oh, I mean, Mario Barjan, he was driving in almost the 1800s. I'll go with some chariot races, Ben-Hur, those big wooden wheels. He was doing all that.
Yes, he was, and he had the beaked wheels too, and would chop up the other guy's spokes. That's how he won so many races. Now, who is taller, Keith Oliver, the guy in the green and gold colors on your circuit, or basketball player Muggsy Bogues?
Keith Oliver may be the appearance of looking short, but his attitude makes him about 6 foot tall. He's pretty intimidating.
And you got to watch out for his helmet, too, if you have a conversation with him, right? Final question for you, WEG quiz. Trash Talking King, Mark McDonald, Anthony McDonald, Ronald McDonald, or Bill O'Donnell?
Mark McDonald's a big prankster. He plays pranks on everybody. But, a trash talker, Anthony McDonald. I mean, even I like to trash talk Anthony just to, keep him down real low. But here, Ron Pierce. Nobody even knows it, and you never guess it. But he, every night in, night out, he talks trash.
That's good to know. And Anthony McDonald, of course, involved in politics as well, so he's a professional talker, too.
Oh, he's great at talking. I remember his in the Sulky over here. I mean, he said he's like a cab driver. I love it.
I would say so. Well, Scott, let's go over your drives tonight. Give people some inside tips here. First race, you've got number 5, Clementine Dream. Better draw. Had to have needed that last race.
Yeah, it was her first start back in a while, and she's in a series coming up, but we just kind of hit a rough bunch last week. They went 53 right off the bat, and she might not have been ready for that, but tonight looks like she can do it, and it's her second start. I'm pretty confident in her.
Moving on to the second race, number 9, Hurricane Shuma. I know trainer John McDermott was going to give you a lot of advice. I didn't know he was going to come right over here before we went on air and give you a map of how to drive her.
Yeah, I haven't driven for John, but now I already know what I got to do, and he's laid it out. It might not look great on paper, but he said this horse is ready to go. Get her involved.
And wait till you drive for his brother Kevin, who can talk about 10 times as much as John. Moving on to the third, number 2, Pilatus. Certainly fits with these. Should be getting sharper. I think this is, his third back?
Yeah, he was a little disappointing for me last week because his first start back, I come first up with him, but he lasted long. He just got nipped at the wire in a big mile. Last week I kind of rode the rail and tried to show him air down the lane. He just didn't have it. So I think Mark will come up and tell me it was something along the lines of he was sick last week and he's ready to go.
Moving on to the fourth race, number 9, Miss Coco, luck for Blake McIntosh. Dave Miller opted off this one, but Blake McIntosh does very well with his stable.
Yes, he does, and ironically enough, I never drove for him even in Canada, so it's quite amazing that he's given me an opportunity here.
Maybe he didn't want to.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just ended up
well,
there.
I'm going to try and make a good impression here on him, though.
Moving on to the fifth race, number 9, Big C Liger. Do you know what a liger is?
I do not.
Half lion, half tiger. If you watch Napoleon Dynamite, that movie, you'd know that. I thought this horse got blocked in traffic a little last week.
Yeah, the 30-1 morning line is definitely not what that horse deserves. I'm going to put that horse in the race a little bit more this week. Last week I just wasn't even able to show him any air, and like I said, 30-1, this horse should be at least 5-1.
Moving on to the sixth race, number 5, $800 Casey Coleman and Andrew Harris here. Nice mare. This is a wide open race, though.
Yeah, I drove this horse a few times. Pretty versatile, good late kick for home, but we'll have to look this more in depth and see what we got to do. Andrew Harris and Casey Coleman, tough crowds to drive for, but I'm used to it.
Moving on to the seventh race, number 5, Il Mago. He's first time Lasix tonight. A lot of driving for Mark Harder. Do you mention Golden Receiver every time you get the lines from him?
Right, yeah, well, we've got to work our way up to that, but Il Mago, probably my worst drive so far here at the Meadowlands last week, and we won't make the same mistake.
Moving on to the eighth race, number 7, Big Mcdeal. Nice filly, former world champion. I think she's in the sale here in January, too.
Yeah, she is, which kind of means, there's not going to be any putting up the rail. We're going to give her a good chance. Last week, a little bit disappointing that she didn't pace right through the wire for me, just getting picked off, but, we're going to get her involved.
Moving on to the ninth race, number 5, Janie Bay, that gave you your first win. But what's the real story on Carmine Auciello? I hear he's a wannabe singer. Is he really good or just like late-night karaoke?
I've only seen the videos, haven't heard him live, but he's very good, and it's a good thing that he's also a good trainer as well. And Janie Bay, near and dear to my heart for getting my first Meadowlands win, so we'll try and duplicate that again. 10th
race, number 6, H&M's hit, 2 in a row at Yonkers. Now, are you a big guy to study the program and watch replays? Have you watched any tape on this horse?
No, I haven't, but I spoke with the connections of this horse, and I was told loves the helmet. Just keep an eye on him late in the mile. You try and get a little bit pacey, but like I said, we'll just hope for some good flow in this race and trotting strong through the wire.
You got the rail in the 11th with the 1, Betit to get it. Raced her in Ontario quite a bit for Ben Wallace.
Yeah, she is extremely tough to handle. She kind of gets a little rank, and and off the rails, not a great spot for her, but we'll try and get her involved and show her some air this week. We've been locked in a couple times.
12th race, number 7 Blaze, Frank Antonacci and his family. They're big supporters of yours and gave you some big shots the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, to make this move down here, I needed some guys to just install that faith in me that I can do it, and the Antonaccis have been great throughout my whole career, so I'm grateful for them.
Moving on to the 13th race, number 3, the Real Tone, only 2 for 41. I'm not even sure the great Jody Jamieson could win with this horse.
Jody would say that he can, and he would have put this horse on front or first up. He would give this horse a good shot. For me, we'll see what the trainer says, but it looks like we'll be hitting the wood.
Will we see you at Victory Sports Bar right across the way after the races?
No, I'm not a drinker. We'll go straight home.
There you go. Scott Zeron, you're a breath of fresh air. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep up the great work here at the Big M.
Thanks, Sam.
Wendy Ross coming up next to preview tonight's action, so stay tuned.